Hello everyone, my name is Robyn. I'm a first year medical student here at Swansea University, and today I am going to be walking you through a typical week in my life. So just to start off with, in case anyone didn't know, Swansea actually offers a specialist course called Graduate Entry Medicine, or GEM, and that is the course that I am doing. Essentially what that does is fit 5 to 7 years worth of study into 4 years, so it's a very intense course. So this isn't a typical university course, but it is Swansea's. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It's such an effective learning method, and I'm going to walk you through day by day what I typically tend to do. So starting with Monday, this is our case of the week presentation. It's the very first lecture we have on a Monday and is exactly how it sounds. You meet with an expert of the week that presents a case study to us and walks us through what the week will be about. For example, if we did respiratory for that week, our case study of the week might have been something like asthma, and we'll follow a case throughout the week based around asthma. After our case study of the week, we will move on to the anatomy lab and learn all our relevant anatomy for that week to do with that case study. Again, if it was respiratory, we would then look at the respiratory system and the lungs, the heart and the trachea and everything in between. After we've done a few hours in the anatomy lab, then we might move on to something else, other lectures to do with physiology or anything that might be relevant. But typically our afternoons do tend to be free-ish, so you can use this time to then reiterate that study and everything you've just learned, absorb it, make some notes, make some flashcards, and so on. Moving on to Tuesdays. These are seen as days off. Now they're not days off, they're just days with no lectures. Typically we don't really have lectures for these days. These days are blocked out for different things. So for example, they're blocked out for CBL, which is community-based learning. It's where we get to go to the GP and shadow the GP for a day, and it's very effective, very good to be able to do that. But if you don't have CBL, you might be able to book other things such as LOCs. LOCs are learning opportunities in clinical settings. LOCs are really helpful as well, but this is where you go and shadow a clinical lead in a hospital based around what you've booked. So it might be child health, or again, respiratory or cardiology, surgery, anything at all. Now in your second year, you do have to complete a certain number of LOCs, both surgery and non-surgery. So it's great to use your Tuesdays for this. If you don't have CBL or you don't have LOCs and you've caught up on all your lecture materials, what you can also do is use this for your study skills. Now Swansea does offer rooms available for you to go and do your self-study. So that might be going into the anatomy lab, it might be going into a clinical skills room and practicing your clinical skills such as cannulation or venipuncture. You might even be able to get these signed off by one of our clinical leads. Moving on to Wednesdays. Now Wednesdays are lovely days. You have lectures all the way up to around 1 PM. After 1 PM, all students have time off on Wednesdays, which is fantastic. It gives students time to go explore their societies and sports and just have a bit of a break halfway through the week. Again, you can use this time to book things like those clinical skills and whatnot, but you also might want to check with your societies and see what they're doing, take that opportunity to connect with the university, take a little break from your study. It's an amazing opportunity. Thursdays! I've heard so many year 1 students say Thursdays are their favourite days, and for good reason. They are my favourite days as well. Thursdays are ICM days, ICM meaning Integrated Clinical Methods. Now what this is a half day working with clinicians to work on practice for our OSCEs. Now OSCEs are Objective Structured Clinical Examination, and all medical students go through an OSCE. What essentially is practicing is those clinical skills, so being able to do examinations on people, physical examinations, take a history from someone, data interpret something like an ECG. It's really fun. You get to interact with our ICM tutors who are GPs or other doctors within the Swansea community, and it's just a great time to connect with students, connect with your lecturers. It is my favourite day. It's so much fun and you learn so much. Coming on to Friday, the end of the week, everyone's favourite day, but we still have a few more lectures to go through. So we might have some more lectures based on what we have been doing throughout the week, just rounding everything up, whether it's about diagnosis, investigations, treatment, anything like that. It just gives a nice rounded end to the week. And then we have our expert forum. So that expert that was leading the week at the start and talked to us about that case study that we have been studying and following throughout the week. This is a fantastic time to have an open forum with everyone in your year group and ask as many questions as you want. making sure you really understand the work that you've been doing throughout the week and how it's clinically relevant to that case study and where you can go from there. This is such a nice opportunity because throughout the week you're starting to think about that case study, starting to piece things together like a puzzle, and then at the end of the week, if there's anything unclear or anything that you're dying to know, that is the time to ask that expert. That is the time to round off that week, make sure that you have a good understanding of what's gone on that week and gone, okay, I'm ready for the next one. And that's why I love it on a Friday. If I have some extra time on a Friday afternoon, I will take that time to reflect on my week, reflect on what I've done, especially if it's a week where I've gone into a clinical setting and how I think that I've done in that clinical setting and where I can go from there. Reflection is a massive part of medical school, so having that time at the end of the week to do that, to see how you've learned throughout the week, what you might do next, how you've done in these clinical settings is really important, and I recommend it for everyone to do. So before you head off, I just want to give you some tips and tricks of how you can structure your week. My first tip is to use your degree like a 9 AM to 5 PM. Your degree is really structured anyway, so this is going to help massively. If you can stick to a timetable, you're able to separate that study life from your social life and have these afternoons off to do whatever you desire. Not only that, but if you find extra time where you don't feel like you need to improve on anything or you just feel sick of studying, you can take that time off because you're not catching up on all your lectures. Which brings me to my second tip. Make sure you study smart, not hard. So like I said, this is a very intense course. It's going to be hard anyway. You are fitting 7 years of study into 4, and this is why you have so many lectures to prepare you. But make sure you use your time effectively. When you're in a lecture, make sure you're engaged so you don't have to go through it again. Make sure that you've got your notes, you've got your cards, you're studying it, and you've really consolidated that learning by the end of the week, so when it comes to the expert forum, you can understand everything that's happened and why it's happened and why they go through it. This way you're not catching up on all your study and you're not spending your social time studying when you should be socializing and taking time off, and you won't burn out. This is the long run. Medicine is a marathon, not a sprint. You've heard it a million times before, and it is so true. You're not going to cram all that information in last minute. You need to take your time and really understand what you're studying, and you need to do that in an effective way. A good way to be effective in your study is to review your previous week's work and revise those as you study along with your case of the week. So if you find those gaps, you feel like you've really understood what that week is saying, that's fine, brilliant, amazing. But make sure that you fill in those gaps between your lectures, not only just to have time off, but also consolidate the learning from your other weeks. And this really fits in with Swansea's spiral curriculum. Okay guys, that's it from me. If you did find this video helpful or insightful in any way, please don't forget to give it a like and comment down below if you want me to do any more videos based around medical school. And if you want to see other related content, please don't forget to subscribe to the Student Vlogs #SwanseaUni YouTube channel for more. I'll see you soon. Bye!